Emergency podcast time. Deuce and Mo. It is a Friday night, Memorial Day weekend. Didn't think we'd be having some Kings news to discuss, but of course we got some.
Of course.
Right when we're sitting down to watch Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals, we get a Woj alert, and I saw Mike Brown's picture. My first reaction was like,
They did it!
The extension got done! And I'm like, let's go! And I read it, and I felt like my heart sank a little bit. Woj put out a report. After engaging in contract extension negotiations, the Sacramento Kings and coach Mike Brown remain with a gulf on a potential deal and have table talks, according to ESPN. Went on to write, Brown has one guaranteed season left on his original 4-year contract, and there has been hope of reaching a deal that would avoid him entering the final year of his contract in the 24-25 season. So, Morgan Reagan, your first reaction to this, which is a Friday afternoon little news dump thing.
Yeah. First reaction, because the game was about to start, and you and I have been watching these games to, talk about after. And for you and I, we are locked in. We're taking notes during the game. And it took me out of the game. It took me out of the first quarter. I didn't give a shit what was going on. I just felt dead inside. And I know nobody got fired. Nothing horrible happened, but it wasn't fun.
It's triggering though, right?
It's triggering because this shit has happened to me, not to anyone else, but to me for so long now. Obviously, it's happened in this Kings organization for quite some time. And it's traumatizing. Like, just let somebody have stability. Let the
fans have it.
Let the fans have stability. So yes, I'm triggered. I'm even just right now, it doesn't make me feel good. And I was feeling good after that game too. And now I'm back talking about this and it doesn't feel good.
Well, let's rewind a little bit, because we found out at the end of the season that Mike Brown and the Kings have a mutual option for the final year of his deal. And based on some of the new coaching salaries and based on some of Mike Brown's success, 94 wins as Kings head coach in 2 seasons, he's looking at that going, I want a little bit of a raise. I'm seeing what other coaches are getting.
Sure. So
it looked like there could be some talks ongoing. I asked Mike Brown about it at the exit interviews and saying, is this top of mind for you right now? And he kind of brushed it aside, but you knew it was going to be a topic headed in to the offseason.
Yeah.
I'm going to preface what I'm about to say with this. I think they're going to get a deal done.
Okay.
And negotiating like this just happens, right? Like you find out that he's got an option thing, and then you find out this today. It feels like there's maybe a little public pressure being put on. I don't know for sure. Is this by Mike Brown's camp? I'm guessing.
Yes, dude. We're not. Come on. Don't be naive, people.
But we talked about this earlier this week. Just get a deal done.
Just get a deal done.
Get done. And
any deal.
I think there's definitely some people that would say this. Well, I made the playoffs 1 year, got coach of the year, but they didn't make the playoffs last year. They took a step back. Like, why can't he come into next year and prove it? Look, man, let me just walk you through a trip down.
I'll drink my wine. You walk us through.
So the Kings are getting ready to start their 40th season in Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
They have had 21 head coaches since 1985.
Triggered.
21 head coaches since 1985. That's more than any other team in the NBA during that span.
Jesus.
Phil Johnson.
Oh, you're gonna name the 21 coaches?
Phil Johnson.
Okay.
Jerry Reynolds, Bill Russell, Dick Motta, Rex Hughes, Gary St. Jean, Eddie Jordan, Rick Adelman, Eric Musselman, Reggie Theus, Kenny Nat, Paul Westphal, the late great Paul Westphal,
okay.
Keith Smart, Michael Malone, Ty Corbin, George Karl, Dave Yeager,
oh my God,
Luke Walton, and Mike Brown.
That's only 20. Oh, wait, that's not even, that's 10, 15, 19. That was only 19. You missed 2.
I said it with confidence, though.
Like, if I wasn't counting, I'd have been like, whoa, that was 21.
To be honest,
What?
I feel like your counting's off.
No, go back. If you do it again, I'll let you do it again even. But like when I put a finger
Did
up.
I say Kenny Nat?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to look it up. And see, this is what's great. We're going to do this live. Not really live. But.
Not really live, but not going to stop recording. Yeah, I'm very confused on why you were so confident if you didn't have it. Okay.
I said Jerry Reynolds.
You did.
I said Dick Motta.
Maybe not.
Dude, I didn't say Dick Motta.
Yeah.
I didn't say Dick Motta. That was the one I missed.
Why
I
are
said
you
Rex
yelling at me?
Hughes, Gary St. Jean, Eddie Jordan, Rick Allen, Eric Musselman, Reggie Theus, Kenny Nat, Paul Westphal, Keith Smart, Michael Malone, Ty Corbin.
Alvin Gentry. You missed Alvin. Watch it. All right. Those are the two. Hey, at least we went back, and those are the two that you missed.
I'm the basketball mind, and I forgot it. And so here's the point.
It's too many to remember.
It's too many to remember. Even Deuce Mason left off Dick Motta and Alvin Gentry.
Even Deuce Mason. But that was still pretty good. But the point is, that is not good.
What? Right. And I've got more on that, Morgan Reagan. Okay.
Oh, let me say.
So 21 coaches during that span.
Mm-hmm.
4 of those coaches have made the playoffs. 4 of those coaches have made the playoffs. They've had 7 coaches since 2013.
God, bleh.
The Kings have had 10 winning seasons? 11 winning seasons in their history?
Okay.
11 winning... 10 winning seasons in their history?
Just so much confidence beaming from me. I believe you with it. 10.
But 2 coaches with winning records.
Okay.
Rick Adelman, who did it 8 years in a row, and the last 2 under Mike Brown, 48 wins and then 46 wins short of a playoff appearance this year. You can't do it. You can't. And the debate is like, well, do you pay him like some of these other coaches got paid? Well, if you look at some of the highest paid coaches, all these salaries have jumped up for head coaches around the league. It's happening, and it's going to keep happening. Coaches are getting paid more than ever, and in some ways it makes sense because there's no NBA coaching salary cap. The Kings don't get dinged by paying Mike Brown. No team gets dinged by this. Spoelstra's making $15 a year. Steve Kerr's making $17.5. Popovich $16. Mike Budenholzer just signed with the Suns $10 million a year. Monty Williams changed everything by getting $13 million a year from the Pistons. And then the one that might be hurting Brown a little bit, Nick Nurse got $8 million a year. He won a championship with the Raptors. He's getting $8 million a year with the Sixers.
So, yeah, and you talk about that there's no salary cap on these coaches and everything. And I think for these coaches, they're now looking for wow. These guys get paid a lot of money, but we ultimately will be the ones that get screwed and that all the blame goes on. I mean, Frank Vogel is a great example of what's going on with the Phoenix Suns and his entire coaching staff. And so y'all get screwed, but you don't get the security, the stability to stay in one town, to make all this money, whatever it may be. And so that's all they're fighting for. Now, when it's rich people fighting for more money, I'm always like, ugh, screw you all anyway. But at the same time, like, my point is, I get it.
And what's it going to take to pay Mike Brown? The reporting out there is saying that he's looking for 8 figures, so 10 or more million a year.
Sure.
You can have a debate. Oh, should they pay him that? Blah, blah. Look, even if it's a little less than that, don't let Mike Brown walk because you don't want to pay him an extra million or something. Like, let's not let this fall apart. I think the reality is this for me with Mike Brown. I just look, he's got those 94 wins. I felt like he has brought a level of accountability to this team. I think it's a no-brainer to bring him back and let him see this through. I'd like to see more moves from Monty McNair and see Mike Brown with some additional pieces and see what this team can do again next year. The Kings for years have had a revolving door when it comes to head coaches. Hell, there is a stretch they're paying multiple coaches who they fired, right? I think at one point they were paying like George Karl, Corbin, and Yeager. That's a lot of money to spend on coaches. I'd rather have a guy that has a respect from the players, that's got results. It hasn't been perfect, and you can be honest about those things, But understand that he has gotten results, and it's not just here. His winning percentage in the NBA is over 600.
And you talk about all of that, but you also go back to just the simple thing in sports. Continuity is very important. Now, when it's negative and it's toxic, you don't want to continue that trend. This is the complete opposite of that. This is finally something that you can see going forward can have a positive impact on this entire organization and on the city. And I don't think that's even dramatic to say. I think too, so many people become irrational when there's a little bit of a dip. And it's because we're in sports and you get paid to be the best of the best. Well, 30 teams can't be the best of the best. Like, that's just fact. One. Two, when it comes to an organization, everyone has to be doing their jobs the correct way to make sure that everyone else can do their jobs to the best of their ability. I mean, you look at everything from roster construction, and then you go into the roster and you go, some guys being unhealthy, some guys not playing their best basketball this year and everything. And that's all going to fall on Mike Brown. Again, this isn't about just sticking up for a coach, but this is about, it's more about the principle of not only of what Mike Brown, I guess, has brought to Sacramento, but what I still think he can bring as a basketball mind and as a head coach in the NBA.
The other thing too, I feel like there's a little pressure to get this figured out. I mean, I don't know, does that impact Malik Monk's decision as a free agent? Like, if he's going, well, is Mike staying?
Well, I mean, Malik Monk likes
Fox.
Mike Brown. Yes.
How does he feel? Just all those guys. I mean, Sabonis just signed last offseason. Is he going to be like, wait, what? Are we unstable? Are the Kings being the old Kings, or is this the new version of the Kings? And I think that's
dangerous.
important too. And that goes back to the stability and continuity.
Yes.
And it just, it is reminiscent when you go back to when Michael Malone was here. Rudy Gay signs an extension, and then he was excited because he wanted to play for Michael Malone going forward. And then they blew Malone out the door. You don't want to repeat that same thing. And I think Mike Brown has a respect of the players in the locker room. I think he's a respected coach in this league, and he's gotten results. I'm not trying to paint him as the perfect coach, okay? I'm not far from perfect. But what he has done in a short time, I admire. Even last year, I'm thinking about where the Kings were at defensively.
Yeah.
And them taking a jump with not changing a lot of parts. That's pretty damn impressive. Now, everyone can nitpick rotations. We did it with Mike Brown this year. On the podcast. Fans did it. Every fan complains about rotations
with
in the NBA.
Every organization.
Yes, sure. So, like, to me, it's whatever. I think the results are simple. The Kings have been a losing organization for the majority of their time in Sacramento, and they have finally gotten some level of respectability, even if they're not where they want to be. I want to see this through. This guy won Coach of the Year last year. He won 48 games, followed it up with 46. There's different things going on this year. They live up to expectations, but I don't think you just go, I don't know if you're the guy now. It's like you either trust him or you don't trust him.
If things were bad and toxic and he didn't get along with players and star players and blah, 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 these things were going on, I would understand the questioning and being and going away from me saying, "Hey, continuity is important," but none of those things are happening. So it's like anything in life. You have to grow. You have to develop together, especially when there's positivity within it. Like when you're in a relationship, there's going to be ups and downs, but
and tough conversations.
Conversations. But if you have the right pieces and people around and good people around to communicate and to try and work through things, then that should be worth going through, because the grass is not always greener. And we have seen that year after year after year. And Deuce, something that you were saying before we came on here was a little bit about like players like,
I'm so glad you brought this up.
I didn't want to forget
and this is something that like, I think we should talk more about.
I agree.
The Kings over the years, and this is not just exclusive to the Kings, but we're using the Kings as the example because we're talking about their coaching situation and the Mike Brown talks. This team paid Dwayne Dedmon $13 million a year.
Remember that?
What did Dwayne Dedmon do for this team?
Absolutely nothing.
Corey Joseph, nice guy.
Kojo, be nice.
He got paid. You paid him $12 million a year. Yeah, that was a lot of money for Corey Joseph at the time.
Too much money.
You paid Trevor Ariza $12.5 million. You paid Zach Randolph a going away gift, I guess, because it was like his final year in the NBA. Found a couple years in the NBA. Over $12 million a year. You paid Vince Carter $8 million a year. Jeez. Who has a bigger impact? Some of these players that we're talking about making that money, or a coach? Mm-hmm. Like, you don't throw away, like, that. In my opinion, the Kings have made so much progress in the last couple of years, like changing their image. The last thing you want to do is display a level of chaos again, or uncertainty, or like, wait, what's going on?
Or be the punching bag around national media and be like, they can't figure it out. And then like people pick sides and choose narratives. And it's like, can we just get this done?
And so like, what's the solution? I know we did a podcast earlier this week talking about this. And I was like, why not give him like a 3-year deal? 3-year deal with a... And here's what you could do too. I mean, you could put incentives in these deals. Give him a 4-year deal, but the final year is a team option. Mm-hmm. So extend him for 3 years, and maybe with certain level of bonuses, he can get well above double figures. Yeah. But maybe it's structured a certain way, right? At the same point, to be fair, we don't know what Mike Brown's asking for.
Absolutely.
What if Mike Brown's asking for, I want to be paid like Greg Popovich? Wow. $16 million. I mean, Greg Popovich got a lot of rings. He got some credibility, or
rings.
Or what? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, so we don't know what Mike Brown and his side is asking for, but there's got to be a path for these two sides to stick together and figure it out. Right now, reading this, it bums me out.
It was deflating. It was deflating,
and it's like nothing technically happened.
No,
but it's out there, right?
And it's like you said, it's just being in this city and being part of this organization for so long and following the Kings for so long, it is so triggering that it could probably ruin my entire weekend.
What happens if they get it done this weekend? Then it could make your weekend awesome.
100%. Get it done.
Also, these are negotiations, and this stuff happens in sports negotiations all the time, where like the sides talk, then it gets out, they put some public pressure on, blah, blah, blah. Going back to it, if you give him that like a 4-year deal, and with incentives it reaches $42 million or something, or you can kind of get him close to where he wants when he meets certain incentives, it can work for both sides. But to me, if I'm the Sacramento Kings, this guy has brought a level of, he's brought culture to the team again. And it's been lacking for a long time. And I think he's got the belief of the guys in the locker room. I want him here.
Well, I think it's funny, too, when people that root on other teams around the league are like, yeah, what has he done? He got this team to one playoffs. Hey. It's like, oh, sweetie, you're not covering the team. You're not actually seeing it. You're not living it and seeing exactly what is going down. And again, it's not... I get it. I get some people out there and their standards in their irrational thinking is always like championships equal money. But you have to look around the league. You have to get a pulse on what other coaches are getting paid and why he wants to get paid like this. I remember when the reports first came out and Mike Brown wants to get paid, blah, blah, blah. I remember being like, really? And then I took a second before I said anything out loud and put a different narrative out there and was like, actually, yeah, it makes sense why this guy wants to get paid when everyone else is getting paid. You want to make sure that you are protecting yourself as well, because coaches are always the first to get blamed, get fired, and go.
Yeah, and I just don't love the idea of a coach going into the final year of his deal as a lame duck coach. Like, one, it just becomes a constant distraction. Players are going to be asked about it. He's going to be asked about it. And let's be honest, everyone's thinking about it. The players are thinking about it. Oh, God, if we get the slow start here, what's that mean for him?
Yeah.
It's like, I think you have to show some level of trust. Did Mike Brown all of a sudden, after winning 48 games and winning Coach of the Year, become a bad coach? No, like, the West is really good. That's the Kings swung and missed on some things. They were injured and they weren't perfect. They didn't have a good year.
Yes.
To their expectations, they still won 46 games, right?
In the Western
and they were one game away from making the playoffs. The goal needs to be to win multiple rounds and turn into a championship contender. But it doesn't all fall on Mike Brown and his coaching staff.
Yeah.
It's about making the right moves. I don't think anyone last year went into the mindset of, in my opinion, I didn't have the mindset. I know Mike Brown said at Media Day, and I know others did, like, we have championship expectations. They did not have a championship team last year. They had a team that I thought was capable of getting to the playoffs and maybe winning a round.
And by the way, which would have been awesome. It would have been awesome because of just even the experience alone for a lot of these guys. Like, there's so much more you have to do to this entire roster to actually be able to reach some of those championship goals, and have those actually be realistic, I guess you could say.
Let's hope they get it done. I mean, the reality is there's a long time before training camp. All right, there's months here, and they're gonna talk again. Let's just hope it gets done. I don't want that distraction, and
I just want to have a good weekend.
Well, it is what it is. There's probably no new news coming. You can't. You gotta this was your chance to vent and let it out.
I did. I'm drinking wine. I'm venting. I'm fine, but I just whatever.
Well, let us know how you feel in the comments below. Do you think a deal gets done? How do you feel about this report? Are you not tripping about it? Or are we overreacting? Let us know in the comments below. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe.
Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. They tell you what they know. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. Deuce and Mo. The podcast that you know.